Welcome to the Fellowship Podcast, a place where we get to know the people who make up the Baptist Bible Fellowship. In each episode, we sit down with pastors, missionaries, and ministry leaders from across our fellowship to hear their stories, their ministry journey, and a few lessons they've learned along the way. Our goal is simple: to connect leaders, share stories, and strengthen the mission. And now, here's your host, Randy Harp. Let's join the conversation.
Welcome to the next episode of the Fellowship Podcast. Thanks for taking the time to join us today as we have conversations with leaders of the Baptist Bible Fellowship. We're on a series now where we're having conversations with all of the speakers for the September 2025 National Fellowship meeting that's taking place in Tyler, Texas. Excited to have my friend on with us today, Bruce O'Neill, founder of MANNA Worldwide. Bruce, thanks for taking the time to join us today.
My privilege. I look forward to this.
Yeah, good. So, Bruce, I know you are so well known. Everybody knows Bruce O'Neill. But take a minute, just kind of share a little bit about your story. Where did you grow up, and maybe your salvation experience? Just a little bit of background on you.
Okay. Start off in Texas. Born in Lubbock. My dad was a principal of a high school in Gale, Texas. Didn't really come from a religious family. You know, they said they knew God, but really didn't attend church anywhere. And so I grew up in a household where we went to church on Christmas, and that was about it. Never really knew much about Christ. I came to know Christ when we moved to Fort Worth, Texas. Met a young lady that I asked her out for a date when I was 17, 18. And first question was, where do you go to church? And so I tried to be quick on my feet. And I said, I've been looking for a good church to go to. And she said, well, I go to Hallmark Baptist Church. Why don't you go with me there? I said, great. And so we're going out tonight. She said, yes. And I started attending Hallmark Baptist there. And so,
that's a great evangelism strategy, right?
Oh, I'm telling you, she had me roped in.
Who was pastor of Hallmark at the time?
Pastor Dunn. Well, pardon me. Alvis Edmondson actually was the pastor when I first went to Hallmark. And then he moved on to another church, and Raymond Dunn out of Sweetwater, Texas, became our pastor.
Hmm. So I'm assuming you got saved at Hallmark?
Well, I'm kind of a slow learner. My strategy was to make a lot of money, and then I'd have a happy life. I told Pamela that I was Christian, which was not true. And for the next, including the year before we got married, 8 years, I attended Hallmark, but never trusted Christ. I became a businessman, made a great living. After 7 years of being married, woke up one morning and thought, what happens after this? I'm going to die one day, and for what? And so I looked up at the ceiling. I was laying in bed and said, okay, if you're a real God, I'm going to give you a chance. I was really a generous guy. And so I said, I'm going to go to church next Sunday. And this will be the first service that I'll actually listen to a sermon. I'd never listened to a sermon. And pardon me, got a little cough today. So I went, listened to the message, and it really stirred my heart. And I thought, I can't go forward today because everybody thinks I'm Christian here. So after the service, I told my wife, I said, Pam, I guess you're going to church tonight. She was one of those fanatics, went Sunday nights, Sunday morning, and Wednesday. I only went Sunday morning with her, and she said, yes. And I said, well, I'll go with you. And she was surprised. I went that night, and God spoke to my heart again. I went with her on Wednesday, same thing. And the following Sunday, gave my life to Christ.
Wow. And then I'm sure everything changed after that.
Drastically. I remember my employees At work, within a couple of weeks, said, "What has happened to you?" I tended to be pretty grouchy. I was kind of hard on employees. All I could think about was making money, and they noticed an immediate change in my life. And I shared with them Christ, got them to come to church.
So
God,
how long after that was it that you felt the call to ministry and missions and
really a big surprise for me anyway. Within 3 months, we had a missions conference, and missionary was speaking on people overseas not knowing Christ and trying to share the gospel with them, and it stirred my heart. And I thought, I cannot be a missionary. This would be impossible. But I went and talked to Pastor Dunn about it, and I said, Pastor Dunn, how can I be a missionary? I said, I'm extremely dyslexic, and I don't see how that would work being a missionary. He said something that I've never forgotten. He said, Bruce, it's not what you're going to do, it's what God's going to do through you. And that revolutionized my thought pattern. And so I said, okay, well, then I can go.
and then I know you were a missionary in the Philippines. Where did you serve anywhere before then?
Yes, we were in Japan. Originally, we went to Japan. I thought I'd be there the rest of my life as a missionary there. And after a couple of years, I got a call from a missionary friend in the Philippines. He called me from the Philippines to Japan. He said, Bruce, God has spoken to me about you coming over here and starting a Bible college. And I laughed and I said, no way. This is where I'm going to stay. And he said, well, I just really feel like you need to come over here and do that. And I talked to him, good friend, and it's great and all, but I said, no, I'm staying here. And a week later, I got a call from another missionary friend in the Philippines and said, God is really burdening my heart about you coming to the Philippines and working with us here. And I thought, well, is this really God? I said, well, I didn't want to, but I said, I'll pray about it. Long story short, I ended up in the Philippines.
How many years did you serve in the Philippines?
Well, total Japan and the Philippines for 17 years. Yeah.
Talk a little bit about, MANNA Worldwide is a large ministry now, impacting literally all around the world. What was the share how that got started?
Really strange because I grew up as you did, and especially in the ministry, that there were church planners and there were groups of people that really didn't need to do anything except social welfare programs overseas. So when we were there in the Philippines, we'd started a new church. It was small, it was starting to grow a little, but it was extremely hard in this area we were meeting in to get people to come to church. But we had mothers start to come to our church. About a kilometer down the road was a very impoverished area. Mothers would come to our church during the week and say, can you help me feed my child? And many of them would have babies in their arms that looked malnourished. And we did what any Christian do, reached in our pocket, gave them money. Pam would give them money, I'd give them money. And God began to speak to me about doing more than that. That mother wasn't interested in hearing the gospel. She wanted to feed her family. And it really burdened my heart. And it simultaneously, unbeknownst to me, it was working in Pam's heart. And I said, we need to, pardon me, I'm taking a lifesaver here. I said, we need to do something about this. And so we prayed about it. Our support was going to start this new church, but, we didn't have a lot of extra money, but we prayed about it, and God really burdened our heart to start a small program. My faith was small. And I thought, well, maybe we could start a program for 10 kids. And Lord supplied the money, and he did. But really surprised me was within 3 months, we were feeding 250 kids a day, and most of them were coming to our church. And then their parents started coming. That church grew in numbers that we were all surprised with the way God worked.
So it went from that one church, your church there in the Philippines, and then what kind of happened next? How did Manna grow from there? When did you know it was time to make a somewhat of a transition to do that full time?
Well, that was a big surprise to me. Like I said, we had planned on being missionaries for the rest of our life in the Philippines. And when other missionaries saw what was happening with, even before it was called MANNA, the program, they came to me and said, we'd like to do the same thing. How do we do it? And the problem was consistent. I'd share with them what to do and all, but they were so busy, like all missionaries, good missionaries anyway, starting churches and all, that they didn't have time to raise money, funds. We had another organization that helped us out, supplied us with funds, but there was nobody for them, they felt, to do the same. And they were a little discouraged, and several years went by. God started burdening our heart about starting a ministry. We didn't have a name for it, but to be honest with you, I didn't want to do anything but be a missionary in the Philippines. And we wrestled with that for 4 years. And then finally, God got to the point in our heart that we really knew this is what we're supposed to do, start another ministry, helping missionaries plant churches around the world. And doing that through God's call, the Bible shares with us that we are to help the needy, the widows and orphans. And so we decided to do that. We felt like it would be a small organization that God would supply our need. But my lack of faith again was that if we started this, that maybe we could have 4 or 5 programs in 2 or 3 countries within the first 5 years. And to my surprise, when we started, it just blew up on us. As far as numbers, we had churches in the U.S. want to help and do things, and even companies want to do the same thing. They wanted to help us. Companies were more interested in helping the poor. The churches obviously were interested in not only the kids and supplying their needs, but they wanted to see churches started around the world, and that was our heart too. So it was a great combination to get together, and it just grew like I never dreamed.
So what year was it when Manna officially started, or when was it you made that transition?
Well, in 2000, we came back to the States, intending on going back to the Philippines, but that's when, just almost immediately when we got back to the States in 2000. And I called a few pastor friends of mine, and they encouraged me to go forward. My pastor, Mike Haley, was such a strong part of it. He encouraged me to start the ministry. Harold Brown, a dear friend of mine, pastor in Somerset, Kentucky, said you ought to do it. And it was just, I went then to Bob Baird, the mission director, and met with him. And he said, I'll be behind you. I'll help you out. And he was a great help for us to start MANNA.
So over the last 25 years, just kind of give a quick snapshot. What's MANNA look like now 25 years later in 2025?
We're in 46 countries now. We have 260 programs around the world. We have offices in Ohio, Camp Chautauqua. We have a place there, which Camp Chautauqua now is a part of MANNA. We have an office here in Denver, great office here, and then an office in Fort Worth, Texas. And every year, with the exception of 1 year in COVID, we have continued to grow. COVID, we've set back a few $1,000 for 1 year. We went slower growth, obviously no growth for 1 year. But every year without that exception, we have continued to grow, and God has just blessed. And we're working with just hundreds of missionaries, primarily about 85–90% of them are BBF missionaries around the world. And our goal is, pardon me, for every program we have, every ministry, we have to start a church, or for a few exceptions, we'll work with an existing church and then start a program with orphanages, feeding centers, schools. And it just amazes me what God continues to do.
Do you know off the top of your head how many kids you feed on a daily basis?
Close to 30,000 children now.
Wow. Praise the Lord for that. Thank you for what you do. What's something now? I know the last couple of years ago, not that you've retired, I know you're still full-time working with MANNA, but what's something that is exciting to you right now about MANNA, the future, the ministry that you're a part of?
It's just been incredible, and I promise you, none of us take the credit for it. I'm usually not even looking for these opportunities God opens up, but God just continues to open up new programs and new opportunities with churches. Our goal is, within the next 4 years, is to double our churches and feeding programs around the world, and that is really growing at a rapid pace right now. We have seen a great inroad into many communist countries that our missionaries cannot even get into, but we've been able to get into those countries because we are a quote unquote nonprofit, is the way we place ourselves with the communist government, that we will help your people. But in every one of those countries, we've been able to say that we will go in, we want to help your people, and we will start a church. We've got missionaries who have come to us and said they will let us in, but they won't let us in unless we help their people. And so they've called us and said, can MANNA be a sponsor of that? And it's just really helped us to reach people that we normally wouldn't reach for Christ.
Yeah, that's exciting. So here's a hard question for you. Take the last 25 years of MANNA, 17 years as a missionary in Japan and Philippines before that. What's one leadership lesson that stands out to you, that if you could go back to when you started, that you would tell yourself then, or maybe a young leader today, a young missionary today, or a young pastor today? What's one leadership lesson that you've learned along the way that you'd want to share?
By far and away is look for the open doors God supplies. I know in my ministry, I'm sure I've hid my head or been discouraged or not looked, but God opens constant doors that we'll just walk through. It amazes me at the opportunities out there. And not only that, but years ago, as everyone in the ministry will tell you, we all face times where something difficult happens. And I had one of those in the Philippines. It was for a couple of years there was a very trying time for me in the Philippines. And I didn't understand why God was allowing it to happen. I really didn't. I thought, God, why are you letting this take place? But we stuck it out. We loved the Philippines. It was right in the middle of our ministry. I even thought the only time in the ministry that I ever thought was, well, maybe I should go back to the States. Maybe I should quit. And but we didn't. And what happened after that 2 years was extraordinary. God blew up the church as far as growth. God provided our first feeding program we'd ever started. Without that trial, there would have been no manna, there would have been no future for me as a missionary. So overcoming that hump, I've looked back many times and thought, if I'd given up, we wouldn't have what is going on today. God wouldn't have been able to do what he's going through or what he's done so far in our ministry. God allows us many times to grow through those trials, and I know that's what he did for me. I needed to grow. I did. And I thank the Lord for it now.
That's great. Great advice. Great words of wisdom. So you are speaking on, I believe, Wednesday night, no, Tuesday night, maybe, of fellowship week or the fellowship meeting. Do you want to share a little sneak peek of what you're going to be sharing with everybody at the meeting?
Yes. What I'm going to be speaking on is mistakes I've made in the ministry. I think many times we look at just the progress and how God has blessed, but I want to speak on mistakes I made, things I should have done, and how God blessed us despite it, and how we grew through those. We all make mistakes. We all don't look. We all question, but are we going to go forward? Are we going to give God an opportunity to use us? That's basically it.
Yeah, well, that sounds great. I'm looking forward to hearing that. That's a great challenge we'll all need. We'll kind of wrap up. I want to ask you a couple lighthearted, fun questions, or maybe one of those, and we'll do what I call the quick hitters. But here's a question I like to ask guys on the podcast. If you weren't in full-time vocational ministry, if you weren't a missionary, if you hadn't started MANNA, what is it that you'd be doing? You talked about it being a business. Is that what you'd be doing? Or you'd just be a businessman? Or what would you be doing if you weren't in full-time ministry?
Businessman was to make a lot of money. I'm sad to say I wasn't a Christian. That's all I wanted to do. But if I really had my heart, I would like to be in the medical profession if I wasn't a missionary. I've had opportunities to help on the field. There's pardon me, there's nothing better other than the ministry than to help people with their physical ailments. I've helped dentists on the field. I've helped doctors to see the change you can make in their life. Obviously, we both know the best thing is to see a spiritual change.
Right.
But if I had to go out of the ministry, which I never plan on doing,
yeah,
I would love to do something like that to help people physically.
All right, let's end with some quick hitters. I want to give you a couple options, and you just tell me which one describes you or that you prefer. So, are you an early to arrive, or are you a fashionably late kind of guy?
I like to arrive not really early, but I always want to be there early enough. I don't want to ever be late.
All right, similarly, are you a night owl where you stay up late, or are you an early bird gets the worm and get up early guy?
Yes and yes. I don't like to go to bed early. That's my quiet time. But I do like to get up early. So I usually tend to stay up late and get up early.
Are you an indoor activities kind of guy, or do you like to do outdoor activities?
Definitely outdoor.
Yeah. What's the favorite place you've ever been to outdoors?
Oh gosh, that
Someone has been literally all over the world.
I love Colorado with the mountains. Pardon me. I love Asia with the people and the beauty of the countries that we're in.
Yeah.
That's probably my two favorites.
All right. If you had to choose between a good cheeseburger or some good Texas barbecue, which one you going with?
Oh, barbecue every time. I love cheeseburgers, but nothing better than Texas barbecue.
Yeah. So if you're watching a movie, do you prefer watching comedies or action thrillers?
Oh, gosh.
Or are you a rom-com kind of guy?
I really don't have a preference. A good comedy is great. A drama or action is great too. The I guess the decision maker is how good the movie is.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
someone that travels a lot and you travel a lot, what's your go-to road trip snack? Is it salty or sweet?
Salty, probably. I do eat sweets, but in fact, I don't eat sweets much in the States, but when I travel, I eat sweets. I don't know why, but I like sweet. But again, I love salty food too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're, what's your ideal vacation? To go on a cruise or just go to an all-inclusive resort somewhere?
Really, neither one. What I really like to do is explore.
Yeah.
I love to go to a country and just explore everything I can with the
Hmm.
wife. That's to me the best thing.
Yeah,
Just
I
see
love
what
that
you
too.
can see.
Going to new places, seeing new things.
Yeah, that's number one for me.
Yeah. All right,
Yeah.
sports wise, are you a college sports guy or a professional sports guy?
Professional. I
Yeah.
like, of course, being from Texas, Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. We've had a few others. So that divides this audience every time someone
I
says the
thought it
Dallas
would. I
Cowboys.
thought it would.
All right. If you're going to talk to someone, do you prefer or communicate with someone? Do you like talking on the phone or are you a text message guy?
I do a lot of both, but I prefer talking on the phone because you get more information. You can find a lot, even people you don't know, you can get a little more of their character on the
Yeah.
phone. I like one on one more than anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Do you prefer to eat out at restaurants or a good home cooked meal?
Uh, my wife is a great cook. I love that. But we do eat a lot out because we travel so much.
Yeah.
So they're both good.
Yeah. All right. I know you're in a coffee shop right now in Denver. When you study and prepare, do you prefer that in a coffee shop or in a quiet office space?
Quiet office. I'm kind of ADD. If I'm in a coffee shop, I'm doing everything but studying. So I have to be just alone. Give me some time to think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Last one. If you had one meal to eat the rest of your life, what are you eating?
Oh, definitely enchiladas, cheese enchiladas.
There you go. I'm with that for sure. My
Yeah.
favorite thing, and I didn't discover this till I was pastoring in Texas, is a beef brisket enchilada.
Oh, that is delicious.
Yeah, it's hard to beat that.
Good Mexican restaurant you can't beat.
Oh yeah, that's
That
great.
is it for sure.
Hey, well, thanks, Bruce, for taking time to be with us today. Any last words before we go?
No, I appreciate you, Randy, and what you're doing with this podcast. I think it's a great idea. More people need to know what's going on around the world and how they can get involved in churches and even in manna and things such as that. It just gives great opportunity, and I really appreciate your putting the effort to do it.
Well, I appreciate it. Thanks again for taking the time, and for everybody listening, thanks for joining in today. Looking forward to seeing you in September in Tyler, Texas. And if that's not already, if maybe that's already happened by the time you listen to this, but thanks for taking the time to join us, get to know our fellowship a little bit better. God bless.